The cold vacuum of space surrounded the massive shipyard that orbited Neptune like a silent guardian. Inside the construction bay, something enormous was taking shape. The TFS Ragnarok hung suspended in the darkness, its black hull reflecting the distant stars. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Victoria Blake stood at the observation window, her hands clasped behind her back. She had spent 15 years overseeing this project. 15 years of secrecy, of lies told to alien diplomats, of watching her best engineers work themselves to exhaustion. Now it was finally complete. "Admiral, all systems are showing green," Commander James Mitchell said from his station. His voice carried a hint of excitement that he tried to hide. "The Hurricane class is ready." Victoria nodded slowly. She thought about the countless meetings with the Federation Council, the arguments, the debates. Some council members wanted diplomacy. They wanted to keep bowing to the alien empires, keep pretending humanity was satisfied with their small corner of space. But Victoria had seen the reports. She knew what the other species said about humans when they thought no one was listening. Weak. Primitive. Insignificant. The Krithian Dominion had been the worst. For 20 years, they had pushed at human borders, testing, probing, taking small colonies and claiming they were uninhabited. The Terran Federation protested each time. The Krithians ignored them each time. What could humans do? Their ships were outdated. Their weapons were simple. They were children playing in a universe of giants. That was about to change. Victoria picked up her datapad and scrolled through the latest intelligence report. Her jaw tightened as she read. The Krithians were moving against New Horizon, a colony world with 2 million human settlers. Men, women, children who had left Earth seeking a better life among the stars. The alien fleet had already entered the system. The Federation's diplomatic team had sent urgent messages. The Krithians had not even bothered to respond. How long until they reach New Horizon? Victoria asked. 18 hours at their current speed, Mitchell replied. Our nearest patrol ships are 3 days away. They cannot arrive in time. Victoria turned away from the window and walked to the command console. She placed her hand on the cool metal surface. Inside this shipyard, humanity had poured everything they had learned, everything they had built, every desperate hope for survival. The Hurricane-class battleship used technology that bent the rules of physics. Its engines could fold space. Its weapons were linked across quantum dimensions. Its shields learned and adapted to any attack. The galaxy thought humans were primitive. Let them keep thinking that for 18 more hours. Contact the Federation Council, Victoria ordered. Tell them I am taking the Ragnarok to New Horizon. Tell them the age of appeasement is over. Admiral, the Council has not authorized. I do not care what they have authorized, Victoria interrupted. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of absolute certainty. 2 million humans are about to die. I will not let that happen because politicians want to debate for another week. Prepare the ship for immediate departure. Mitchell hesitated for only a moment before nodding. Yes, Admiral. Initiating launch sequence. Throughout the shipyard, alarms began to sound. Crews scrambled to remove the construction scaffolding. The enormous bay doors started to open, revealing the infinite darkness beyond. The Ragnarok came to life. Its engines glowed with a strange blue light as they warmed up. Power flowed through systems that had only existed in theory until now. Victoria walked onto the bridge of her new ship. It was clean, perfect, untested. The crew members at their stations looked young. They looked nervous. She understood. Most of them had never seen real combat. They had trained in simulators, but simulations could not capture the terror of actual battle. Listen to me, Victoria said, her voice carrying to every station on the bridge. The Krithians think we are weak. They think one human ship is nothing. They are about to learn how wrong they are. We are not going to New Horizon to start a war. We are going to end one. When we arrive, when they see what we can do, the entire galaxy will understand that humanity is not prey anymore. She sat in the captain's chair and gripped the armrests. Helm, engage quantum slipstream drive. Take us to New Horizon. Maximum speed. The Ragnarok lurched forward. Space twisted around the ship as it entered slipstream, moving faster than light itself. The bridge crew held onto their stations as reality bent and flexed around them. In 18 hours, the galaxy would change forever. Victoria Blake intended to make sure humanity was the one doing the changing. The Ragnarok dropped out of slipstream at the edge of the New Horizon system. The view that greeted them made Victoria's blood run cold. 4 to 7 Krithian warships filled the space above the colony world. Bright flashes lit up the planet's surface as plasma cannons bombarded cities below. From this distance, each flash represented thousands of deaths. "Scan the planet," Victoria ordered. "How many survivors?" Lieutenant Daniel Cooper worked frantically at his station. "Reading approximately 1.4 million life signs. The western continent has been completely destroyed. They are focusing fire on the capital city now." Victoria's hands gripped her chair. 1.4 million. That meant 600,000 were already dead. She forced herself to breathe slowly. Rage would not help those people. Only cold precision would. On the lead Krithian vessel, Warlord Krevith noticed the new contact on his display. A single human ship. He laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "They send one vessel to face my armada? Humans truly are fools. Destroy it quickly, then resume bombardment." 20 Krithian destroyers broke from the main fleet and moved toward the Ragnarok. Their weapon systems locked on target. Krevith expected the human ship to either flee or beg for mercy. It did neither. It simply waited. "Enemy destroyers launching missiles," Commander Mitchell reported. 200 inbound. Impact in 30 seconds. Victoria watched the tactical display with calm eyes. "Activate adaptive shields. Let them take their shot." The crew looked at her with confusion, but they obeyed. The shields came online just as the missiles struck. Explosions bloomed across the Ragnarok's hull, bright and violent. The ship shook slightly, but held steady. "Shields at 98%, Cooper announced, his voice filled with wonder. "They are analyzing the weapon signatures. Adapting." The Krithians fired again. More missiles, more plasma bolts, everything they had. This time the explosions were smaller. The shields had learned the frequency and composition of the weapons. They were already adjusting to counter them. "Shields at 96%, Cooper said. "The adaptive protocols are working perfectly." Victoria allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Now show them what real weapons look like. Quantum-linked cannons. Target all 20 destroyers. Fire." The Ragnarok's main guns fired. The shots did not travel through space like normal projectiles. They existed in multiple locations simultaneously, linked through quantum entanglement. The moment they left the Ragnarok, they arrived at their targets. 20 Krithian destroyers exploded at exactly the same instant. No warning. No time to dodge. One moment they existed, the next they were debris. Warlord Krevith stared at his display in disbelief. 20 ships. Gone. In a single volley. "All vessels, attack formation. Concentrate all fire on that ship. Destroy it now." The remaining 27 Krithian warships turned away from the planet and accelerated toward the Ragnarok. They fired everything. Missiles, plasma cannons, kinetic rounds, experimental weapons they had been saving for special occasions. The barrage was enormous, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Incoming fire from multiple vectors," Mitchell warned. "This is going to be heavy." Victoria remained calm. "Engines to full power. Gravitational manipulation protocols active. Take us into their formation." The Ragnarok accelerated forward, straight into the attacking fleet. As it moved, its engines did something impossible. They created localized gravity wells, invisible pockets of intense gravitational force. 3 Krithian cruisers flew directly into these wells. Their hulls crumpled like paper as gravity crushed them from all directions. The Ragnarok moved through the Krithian formation like a shark through fish. Its point defense systems were perfect. Every missile, every plasma bolt was intercepted before reaching the hull. The ship's artificial intelligence calculated trajectories faster than any organic mind could process. "Enemy flagship attempting to flee," Cooper reported. "Warlord Krevith is trying to reach slipstream." "Negative," Victoria said coldly. "Target the flagship's engines. Disable only. I want survivors to carry the message." A precise shot struck the flagship's engine section. The ship went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Around it, the rest of the Krithian fleet was in ruins. Some ships burned. Others had been cut in half by precisely aimed weapons. A few escape pods launched into space, carrying terrified survivors. Victoria checked the chronometer. 17 minutes. The entire battle had lasted 17 minutes. "Cease fire," she ordered. "Open a channel to all Krithian escape pods." The communication system crackled to life. Victoria spoke clearly, making sure every word was recorded. "I am Admiral Victoria Blake of the Terran Federation. You came to our world to slaughter our people. You believed we were weak. You were wrong. Return to your empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity will no longer tolerate aggression. Tell them that we have risen, and the galaxy will tremble. She closed the channel and turned to Mitchell. Deploy medical teams to the planet. Begin evacuation of wounded civilians. Send a message to Federation Command. Tell them the Ragnarok is operational and effective. Below them, New Horizons still burned, but the bombardment had stopped. 1.4 million humans were alive because of what happened here today. But Victoria knew this was only the beginning. Word would spread. The galaxy would react. Some with fear, some with anger, some with respect. Let them react however they wanted. Humanity had just announced itself to the universe, and the announcement had been written in fire and steel. The Galactic Concordat Assembly Hall was in chaos. 200 species shouted at once, their translators creating a cacophony of accusations and threats. Holographic screens displayed the footage from New Horizon over and over. 4 to 7 Crithian ships destroyed by a single human vessel in 17 minutes. It seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. This is unacceptable, roared the Drenathai ambassador, his scales flashing red with anger. One ship should not possess such power. The humans must destroy these vessels immediately. Ambassador Henry Brooks stood at the human podium, his face expressionless. He was a thin man with gray hair, someone the other species had dismissed as harmless for years. Now they watched him with new eyes, eyes filled with fear. The Crithian Dominion attacked our civilians without provocation, Henry said calmly. We defended ourselves. If our capability to do so frightens you, perhaps you should reconsider your own aggressive policies toward humanity. The Crithian ambassador, a scarred veteran named Rothak, slammed his fist on his podium. You murdered thousands of our soldiers. This was not defense, it was slaughter. You murdered 600,000 of our civilians before we arrived, Henry replied, his voice still calm but his eyes hard as steel. Do not lecture us about slaughter when your hands are still covered in human blood. While the Concordat argued, construction continued at the Terran shipyards. 4 more Hurricane-class battleships completed their final tests. The Tempest under Captain Thomas Grant, the Maelstrom under Captain Rebecca Stone, the Typhoon under Captain William Cross, and the Cyclone under Captain Elizabeth Hayes. Together with the Ragnarok, they formed Task Force Tempest. 5 ships. 5 weapons that had changed the balance of galactic power overnight. In a secret facility on the Crithian homeworld, Warlord Krevith met with representatives from 2 other empires. The Zalthor Collective sent their War Master, an insectoid creature named Vexel. The Drenathai Empire sent General Morik, a massive reptilian warrior. All 3 had the same goal: destroy humanity's new fleet before it was too late. We must strike together, Krevith said, his voice bitter with shame. Separately, we cannot match their technology. But united, with 300 ships, we can overwhelm them through sheer numbers. Agreed, Vexel clicked, his mandibles moving rapidly. The humans have revealed their strength too early. They have only 5 of these vessels. We must destroy them before they build more. General Morik nodded slowly. We will give them an ultimatum. Dismantle the Hurricane-class fleet within 30 days, or face total war. When they refuse, we attack with everything we have. Meanwhile, Captain Thomas Grant took the Tempest on its first independent mission. The Valorian Republic, a neutral species known for their peaceful nature, had requested help. One of their colony worlds was caught between 2 warring factions. Thousands of refugees needed evacuation, but the fighting was too intense for normal rescue ships to reach them. The Tempest arrived in the contested system to find chaos. 2 fleets were firing at each other across the planet, and civilian transports were caught in the crossfire. Grant did not hesitate. Activate gravitational manipulation, he ordered. Create a safe corridor for the transports. The Tempest's engines generated invisible walls of gravitational force. Missiles and plasma bolts struck these walls and were deflected harmlessly away. The civilian transports fled through the protected corridor while both warring fleets could only watch in amazement. This is Captain Grant of the Terran Federation, he broadcast on all frequencies. These people are under our protection. Any ship that fires on them will answer to us. Stand down. Both fleets immediately ceased fire near the evacuation route. They had heard what happened at New Horizon. They had no desire to test humanity's resolve. The rescue took 6 hours. 12,000 Valorian civilians were saved. Not a single shot was fired at the Tempest. When the last transport escaped, Grant saluted the Valorian captain and departed. The message was clear: the Hurricane-class ships were not just weapons of destruction. They were also shields for the innocent. News of the rescue spread quickly. Some species began to view humanity differently. Perhaps these powerful newcomers could be reasoned with. Perhaps they were not monsters after all. But others saw only threat. 3 days after the Valorian rescue, the Tri-Empire Alliance delivered their ultimatum to the Terran Federation. Dismantle the Hurricane-class fleet, or face invasion by 300 warships. The Federation Council met in emergency session. Some members wanted to negotiate. Some wanted to build more ships first. But Admiral Victoria Blake spoke with quiet authority that silenced all debate. "We built these ships to protect humanity," she said. "We will not destroy them because bullies make threats. If they want war, we will give them war. But we will not strike first. Let them be the aggressors. Let the galaxy see who truly threatens peace." Ambassador Henry Brooks delivered the Federation's response to the Concordat the next day. A single word that echoed through the assembly hall and across the galaxy. No. The countdown to war had begun. The Tri-Empire Alliance began gathering their fleets. 300 ships against 5. The odds seemed impossible. But humanity had faced impossible odds before. They had survived. They had thrived. They had reached the stars. Now they would prove they belonged there. The Epsilon Eridani system was empty space, far from any inhabited worlds. It was the perfect place for a battle that would reshape the galaxy. 312 alien warships emerged from slipstream in perfect formation. Crithian vessels painted red for war. Zalthor ships bristling with weapons. Drenithai dreadnoughts large enough to destroy cities. Together, they represented the combined might of 3 empires. Facing them were 5 human ships. Warlord Kreveth stood on the bridge of his new flagship, staring at the tactical display. 5 contacts. Just 5. He had expected the humans to bring everything they had. Instead, they sent only their Hurricane-class battleships. Either humanity was incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. "All ships, attack formation Delta," Kreveth ordered. "Concentrate fire on one target at a time. We will destroy them one by one." Admiral Victoria Blake watched the enemy fleet on her own display. 300 ships. She had run the simulations 1,000 times. The Hurricane-class vessels were powerful, but they were not invincible. This would be the true test. "All ships, battle formation Tempest 1, she commanded. "Stay tight. Overlapping shields. Show them the storm." The 5 Hurricane-class battleships moved into position. The Tempest and Cyclone took the flanks. The Typhoon and Maelstrom held the center. The Ragnarok led the spearhead. They looked impossibly small against the massive alien fleet. The enemy fired first. It was like watching the sun explode. Thousands of missiles streaked through space. Plasma cannons fired in waves. Kinetic rounds moved at a fraction of light speed. The barrage was enough to destroy 100 normal ships. But these were not normal ships. "Synchronized shielding active," reported Commander Mitchell from the Ragnarok. All 5 vessels linked. The Hurricane-class battleships had a feature no other ships possessed. Their shield generators could link together, creating one massive protective field shared across all vessels. The incoming fire struck the combined shield and dispersed its energy across 5 ships instead of 1. What would have destroyed any single vessel barely scratched their defenses. "Shields holding at 84%, Mitchell continued. "The system is working." Victoria allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Return fire. Quantum-linked cannons. Full synchronization. Show them what coordination really means. The 5 battleships fired in perfect sequence. Each shot triggered the next, building energy with every discharge. The quantum-linked projectiles created cascading waves of destruction. Enemy shields collapsed in chain reactions. Entire formations exploded simultaneously. 20 alien ships disappeared in the first volley. General Morrick watched in horror as his fleet began to disintegrate. "All ships, scatter formation. Do not group together. Concentrate fire on individual targets." The alien fleet adapted. They stopped trying to overwhelm all 5 ships at once. Instead, they focused everything on single targets, trying to break through the synchronized shields one vessel at a time. Captain Rebecca Stone commanded the Maelstrom from the center position. Her sensors detected a squadron of 30 Zalthor fighters breaking from the main battle. They were heading toward something else. She checked the trajectory and her heart sank. "Admiral, enemy fighters are bypassing the battle," she reported. "They are heading for the civilian evacuation transports. 3 million refugees from the border colonies." Victoria closed her eyes for 1 second. The transports were slow, defenseless. They could not outrun fighters. If those ships reached them, millions would die. Captain Stone, your orders are to maintain formation, Victoria said, though the words felt like poison. Negative, Admiral, Rebecca replied calmly. I did not join the Federation to hide behind civilians. Maelstrom breaking formation. Engaging enemy fighters. Rebecca, no. You will be exposed without synchronized shields. But the Maelstrom was already accelerating away from the formation. Rebecca pushed her engines past their safety limits. The ship's gravitational manipulators created a debris field between the fighters and the transports. Wrecked ship parts, asteroids, anything she could grab with artificial gravity became a barrier. The Zalthor fighters tried to go around. Rebecca positioned the Maelstrom directly in their path. Her point defense systems fired continuously, destroying fighter after fighter. But there were too many. Some got through. They fired on the Maelstrom from all directions. Without the synchronized shields, the Maelstrom had to face the assault alone. Its adaptive shields learned and adjusted, but the sheer volume of fire was overwhelming. Explosions bloomed across the hull. Sections began to breach. Hull integrity failing, her tactical officer shouted. Decks 7 through 12 are exposed to vacuum. Rebecca gripped her command chair as another explosion rocked the ship. Keep firing. Those transports need 5 more minutes to reach slipstream range. We give them 5 more minutes. A Drenithai dreadnought, seeing the Maelstrom separated and vulnerable, turned its main cannon toward the damaged human ship. The weapon charged with enough energy to crack a moon. Incoming, someone screamed. The dreadnought fired. The beam struck the Maelstrom directly. The ship's adaptive shields failed completely. Armor-plated melted. Internal systems went dark. Maelstrom is critical. Mitchell reported from the Ragnarok. She is pulling back. Rebecca managed to restart emergency thrusters. The Maelstrom limped away from the battle, trailing atmosphere and debris. Behind her, the civilian transports jumped to slipstream. All 3 million refugees escaped safely. The battle continued for 6 hours. When it ended, over 200 alien ships were destroyed. The remaining vessels retreated in disorder. All 5 Hurricane-class battleships survived, but the Maelstrom would need months of repairs. 1/3 of her crew was dead. Victoria received the casualty reports in silence. They had won, but the cost was high. And then intelligence brought her new information that made everything worse. The Tri-Empire Alliance had found something. An ancient weapon from a dead civilization. Something called the Silence Engine. If they activated it, the entire galaxy might die. The war was not over. It had only just begun. The Void Nexus was a place where stars came to die. Ancient suns flickered weakly in the darkness, surrounded by the ruins of a civilization that had vanished millions of years ago. At the center of this graveyard floated a structure that should not exist. The Silence Engine. A moon-sized artifact that hummed with power that defied all known physics. The Tri-Empire Alliance fleet arrived first. Only 60 ships remained from their original 300, but desperation made them bold. They had lost the conventional war. Now they would use the weapon of the ancients to win. Begin activation sequence, commanded General Morrick from his flagship. His scales were pale with exhaustion. We will show the humans what true power looks like. The Silence Engine responded to their attempts. Ancient systems came online. The structure began to glow with sickly green light. And reality began to scream. 4 Hurricane-class battleships dropped out of slipstream at the edge of the Nexus. The Maelstrom remained behind in repair docks, still too damaged to fight. Admiral Victoria Blake stood on the bridge of the Ragnarok, watching the tactical display with growing horror. What am I looking at? She asked quietly. Lieutenant Cooper's hands shook as he read the sensors. Admiral, the weapon is creating cascading reality failures. Stars in the neighboring systems are simply ceasing to exist. Not exploding. Not collapsing. Just vanishing. As if they were never there. How long until it reaches inhabited space? At current expansion rate, 6 hours. Victoria felt ice in her veins. 6 hours. In 6 hours, the weapon would reach systems with billions of lives. Humans, Crithians, Drenithai, Zalthor. Everyone would die. The weapon did not discriminate. Captain Thomas Grant spoke from the Tempest. Admiral, I am reading the weapon's energy signature. It is drawing power from subspace itself. If we could create a controlled singularity around it, we might be able to contain the effect. What would that require? All 4 ships would need to focus their gravitational manipulators on a single point. Create enough compressed spacetime to fold the weapon into a pocket dimension. Grant paused. Any ship at ground zero would be caught in the singularity. Destroyed instantly. The bridge fell silent. Victoria looked at the faces of her crew. Young people who had trusted her. Who had followed her into impossible battles. Now she was considering sending one of them to certain death. Captain William Cross spoke from the Typhoon. His voice was calm. My ship took the least damage at Epsilon Eridani. My shields are still at 80% efficiency. I can hold the position longest. William, there must be another way, Victoria said, though she knew there was not. Admiral, with respect, we built these ships to protect people. All people. Not just humans. William smiled, though no one could see it. The galaxy needs to know that we meant what we said. That we are not conquerors. This is how we prove it. Victoria closed her eyes. She thought about all the decisions that had led to this moment. The years of construction. The battles fought. The lives lost. It all came down to this. Proceed, Captain Cross. All ships, form triangular formation around the silence engine. Prepare gravitational manipulators for synchronized activation. The 3 Hurricane-class battleships moved into position. The Tempest, Cyclone, and Ragnarok formed a perfect triangle. The Typhoon accelerated toward the silence engine at the center. The Tri-Empire fleet tried to stop them. They fired desperately, but their weapons were useless against the Hurricane-class shields. General Morrick watched helplessly as the human ships executed their plan. All ships, activate gravitational beams, Victoria commanded. Target point, coordinates of the silence engine. Maximum power. Now. 3 beams of invisible force converged on the ancient weapon. Space-time began to fold inward. The fabric of reality bent and twisted. The silence engine shrieked as its power was turned against itself. William Cross piloted the Typhoon directly into the weapon's core. Alarms screamed on his bridge. His hull temperature was rising past critical levels. The gravitational forces were beginning to tear his ship apart. All crew to escape pods, William ordered calmly. You have 30 seconds. Captain, the pods will not clear the singularity radius in time, his first officer protested. Then we stay together, William said. Tell my family I was proud to serve. Tell the Admiral she made the right choice. He overrode the safety systems and pushed the Typhoon's reactors past maximum. The ship's power core went critical. The explosion triggered a cascade reaction inside the silence engine. The ancient weapon convulsed, its reality-destroying power turning inward on itself. The singularity snapped shut like a closing fist. The silence engine, the Typhoon, and everything within 1,000 kilometers vanished. Not destroyed. Simply removed from existence, trapped in a pocket dimension outside normal space and time. The green light faded. The screaming stopped. Reality stabilized. Victoria stood on her bridge, tears running down her face. Around her, the crew was silent. They had won. The galaxy was saved. But the cost was a ship and 300 lives. The Tri-Empire fleet drifted in confusion. Many ships broadcast messages of surrender. Others turned their weapons on their own commanders, the ones who had brought them to this catastrophe. The alliance collapsed in minutes, destroyed not by human weapons but by their own shame. 3 months later, Victoria stood at the memorial for the Typhoon and her crew. Behind her, 6 new Hurricane-class battleships were under construction. The galaxy had formally recognized humanity as a major power. The Galactic Concordat had invited the Terran Federation to join the Security Council. Ambassador Henry Brooks stood beside her. They want us to be peacekeepers now. Ironic, is it not? They feared our strength, and now they beg us to use it to protect them. Victoria touched the memorial wall, where William Cross's name was carved in stone. He understood what these ships were really for. Not to conquer. To protect. Even those who hated us. The galaxy quaked before us, Henry said quietly. Now it will learn to trust us. Victoria nodded. The Hurricane-class battleships would continue to patrol the stars. But they would do so not as weapons of terror, but as shields for the innocent. Humanity had proven its strength through sacrifice. Now they would prove their wisdom through mercy. The storm had passed. The calm that followed would be built on the foundation of those who gave everything to protect others. That was the human way. That would always be the human way.